Hello. In this module, we're going to talk about office safety, office ergonomics rather. And it's going to really basically run the computer workstations basically, because that's where most of your ergonomic problems in offices are computer workstations. So we're going to talk about that exclusively in this module. So let's get going. We're supposed to get this thing going here. All right. All right. So why is office ergonomics so important? Well, offices are everywhere. Practically any company you work at, there's going to be offices. And guess what? Practically every office you have, every desk is going to have a computer workstation on it. So they are all over the place in all kind of industries, in all kind of departments, in purchasing and in accounting, in production even. So they're all over the place. That's why they're important. And now back before, when I started in safety, that was our word processor right there. We had, different kinds. Of course, you had the ones that people didn't make any mistakes, ones that people only made mistakes, but they were kind of handy at the time. So anyhow, our objectives here identify the best ergonomic posture for a workstation, how to set up a productive computer office workstation, and identify risk factors associated with a computer workstation. Let's talk about the key points, the eyes and the visual display terminal, because that's the main thing, right? You got to be watching that screen. That's the whole thing here. The hands on the keyboard, very important. The back, the legs in the chair. If they're not right, that's the foundation. You're going to have problems. The feet on the floor, very important also. That's not how you want to do it. I know that's an exaggeration, but that's not how you want to be doing it. Problem is with the workstation, computer workstation, is they keep a person at that workstation in virtually the same posture all day long. That's the biggest problem. That's kind of one of the worst ergonomic things you could do is do the same thing all day long. But really not much choice in most computer workstations. Our bodies are designed to be upright and dynamic, which means they're moving. Chronic sitting can cause stress to the body. A poorly designed workplace causes neck and back pain, decreasing productivity and job satisfaction. And what that leads to is not just workers' compensation costs, but low morale and turnover and all other things that just makes it not a very nice place to work. So our goal is to prevent musculoskeletal disorders by surveying the workplace, taking preventive steps, relying on employee input, and trying to address problems early. And I've stressed that before. Get your employees to report problems earlier. The earlier they report them, the easier they are to solve, and the better chance you have of coming up with a good outcome of it. Here's one of our case studies that was in a main office in Carson, California. We had two CSRs, customer service representatives, and they were having risk arm, back, neck, and leg pain. They were having a lot of issues, and nobody ever listened to them. It seemed like. So when I was there, I listened to them, and they were both very large girls. I mean, they were really large girls. And again, nobody had ever addressed their complaints. They were really nice people and really good CSR, but they were big. They were big girls, and that's part of the problem. Well, not they were big. The problem is you got to fit the workstation to the person. So anyhow, after I spoke to them and addressed the workstations and talked to them about it, we decided to do the following. Ergonomic keyboards. Those are those keyboards that are kind of, V-shaped a little bit. You know what I'm talking about. And everybody that I've ever known who gets one hates it at first, but after they've had it for a while, they wouldn't give them up. So, and also we gave them wrist rest too. So ergonomic keyboards are a good idea. Footrest. They weren't sure if they needed them, but at least we gave it a way to put up their long extremities in a different position occasionally. So we got them footrests anyhow. New chairs. This was the sticking point. They were big people. And so when big people need big chairs and also adjustable chairs. And the problem is that's not what companies want to do. They want to buy small puny chairs and they don't want to buy big chairs. But I bought them each brand new chairs, like were over $700. And the office manager had a fit. And I said, too bad. These are big girls. They need big chairs. They need chairs are going to fit them. And actually, over the long run, probably wouldn't be that expensive because they wouldn't have to replace them like they have to with the smaller chairs, the quote, regular chairs, unquote. That case in point, when I first moved here from California, I was up and bought myself a chair for my office at home. And I bought my son-in-law the same chair. Well, I'm about 170 pounds and he was about 240. So guess what? My chair lasted me for a long time, but his chair didn't last very long. So not because he abused it, he's just a bigger person in a chair that's not designed for it. So ergonomic stress is associated with computer use or awkward posture, hands, arms, wrists, neck, shoulders, and legs, static muscle loading, repetition, contact stress sometimes, thighs, arms, and palms, the duration, because you're there all day, phone, even if use is frequent or sustained, excuse me, can't read my own typing here, eye strain, because you're staring at that screen all day long. And of course, when you leave your computer, that's what happens. So who needs that, right? Contributing risk factors associated with computer use are inadequate recovery or rest, extreme temperatures, hot or cold, stress on the job, of course, and fatigue. I don't get the temperatures. I don't think there's too many computer stations that are hot and cold, but another case study, the purchasing behavior plant, the clerk was having problem with pains all over. Now she was a rather petite woman. She wasn't. So after, again, a short assessment, we decided on the following. First of all, she had her monitor up on a stand so she could get her keyboard in her so she'd have room to work sometimes. And, but it was high, so she did a lot of entry from papers. So we had to get rid of that screen, that stand, get that screen down to where it's at the right level for her. And get our document holder and stick the document holder right beside the screen. So when she's entering data from paperwork, which is frequently what data entry is being done, I think from a piece of paper in the computer, it's right there beside the screen. She was petite, so a footrest helped because on a regular chair, her feet wouldn't reach the floor. So I got her a footrest. And a chair didn't fit her very well either. And she had some concerns because, again, the manager wanted all the chairs in the office to look alike. I overruled that notion and I got her a chair to fit her because I don't care if they look alike. What I care about is the people being comfortable and injury-free and pain-free in their work. So that worked out good too. With a little bit of attention and not a lot of expense, we can make these people happy and pain-free. There are several indicators that evaluation this is necessary in an office. Person observes sitting in an awkward position. Elbows are not bent at a 90-degree angle. Wrists are deviated, meaning like this or like this. Person's leaning forward. They look uncomfortable. Their feet aren't supported. They're waving around in the air. Maybe they've experienced the musculoskeletal injury or illness, or maybe several people have. And maybe they complain of aches and pains. Or they even complain that the workstation is not comfortable. But again, I stress this a lot too. Listen to your people. Listen to the employees. Here's the indication the chair may be inadequate. They're sitting on the edge of the chair. There's excess space around the person in the seat pan, or they completely fill up the seat pan. In two case studies I just talked about, and just the opposite happens. The chair's not adjustable. The person says, I hate my chair. That happens. When considering a new chair, look at several different factors. Ergonomic factors like comfort and size, of course, adjustability range and the ease of adjustability, durability, the cost, expected life, maintenance, etc. Again, for a large person, the durability would be a big factor because if not, you're going to be buying several chairs. Gliding force, ease of motion, tipping force, stability, and safety of adjustments. Controls themselves can't present a safety hazard. Other features, armrests, casters, footrests, all come into play. Remember, chair is a tool. Don't skimp on providing proper tools to workers. That's what I always stress. The chair is just a tool. It's not a comfort station, it's a tool. So would you give the proper tools to your maintenance department? Sure you will. So give them to your people that are working behind computer workstations also. More on chairs. Some manufacturers will call their chairs ergonomically correct or ergonomically designed. Chair that fits one person might not fit the next. So this designation is really useless. So anybody says that, well, then maybe they have put some thought into it, and there may be something behind it, but that doesn't mean it's going to be one size fits all by all means. A chair can be a critical factor in preventing back fatigue as well as improving performance and efficiency. Okay, keyboard and mouse. The keyboard should be placed in a horizontal position. directly in front of the operator, slope toward the operator of an angle up to 15 degrees. That's not very much. Mobile, so it can be moved. The home row on the keyboard should be at elbow height, at a height that provides the elbow to be at a 90 to 110 degree angles. Wrists and hands should be straight, not arched like this or like that. Arms relaxed at the sides. Shoulders relaxed and lined up with the hips. The mouse should be sized for the hand. There are different sizes of mouses. I guess they're called mouses in the computer industry rather than mice, but at the same level as a keyboard, close to the body, keeping the wrist straight or slightly flexed. I don't mean they mean too close, but but not too far away. The home row on the keyboard should be at elbow height, at a height that provides the elbow to be again 90, 110 degrees. The home row of the keyboard, ASDF, JKL SEM, that's the home row of the keyboard. Any of these are on the left are bad. Your wrist, any of those, you're going to have problems with it. On the right, the green are correct. You want to keep that wrist straight. If you don't, you're most likely going to have problems. Monitor should be located to the top of the viewing area is at or below eye level. And if bifocals are used, you might have to, unless bifocals are used, then you might have to adjust the monitor height. Directly in front of the operator, not off to the side. They shouldn't have to crank their neck around. At a proper distance from the operator. Larger monitors have made any rule of thumb inaccurate. It should be not too close or too far as to make the operator tilt forward or backward to view the text. My boss in California, Les, he was on the company, so he got himself a real big monitor. He had a huge computer monitor, so he could see more of his spreadsheet. He was filling in the spreadsheets, but he would still get much of that spreadsheet on that monitor. It was still all real small, and he had to get close to it. So the big monitor really didn't do any good. Wrists and hands should be straight, not arched. The lighting will affect monitor placement. This is probably not as prevalent today as it used to be, but some guidelines on lighting. Adequate lighting should be provided. Ambient light should be 300, 500 LX lumens. You're probably not going to have to go around a light meter though. Task lighting should be provided for difficult to read copies. Task meaning something, a light so that you can just shine right on that so you can see it. Care must be taken the task light does not glare on the monitor screen, such as the lamp at a desk. The monitor is a light. Therefore, the ambient lighting can be kept low and task lighting used for specific viewing needs. Illuminance is the amount of light falling on a surface from ambient or local light. That's called illuminance. Illuminance. Luminance is the amount of light leaving a surface, or maybe emitted or reflected. Candela is the power emitted by a light source in a particular direction, weighted by the luminosity function. A candela used to be called a foot candle, but they're always changing names of stuff to make it sound like it's different, but it's a foot candle. Basically, the luminance of 1 square foot of surface where there's a uniformly distributed flux of 1 lumen. And so the illuminant, OSHA calls it, the illuminance cast out on surface by 1 CD source 1 foot away. So I don't get too technical on that. The lumen is the measure of the power of light perceived by the human eye. The lux is a measure of the intensity as perceived by the human eye. A lux equals 1 lumen per square meter. Lux is defined as a derived unit based on lumen, and lumen is a derived unit based on candela. You're probably never going to have to use this stuff, to be honest with you. If you need to get a light meter, you can get one, and you can look it up. But I've never had to use one of these. You can usually have a pretty good idea if the light's going to be okay. Contrast is the ratio of luminance of the object and the luminance of the background. We all know what contrast is, the bright and dark. Glare is sensation produced by luminance within the visual field that is sufficiently greater than the luminance to which the eyes are adapted to cause annoyance, discomfort, or loss of visual performance and visibility. Well, we all know what glare is. Something shines usually on something you want to look at. Could be your TV at home, a monitor, or anything like that, and shines back at your eyes and makes it more difficult to see. Direct glare is caused by one or more bright sources of light that shine directly into the eyes. Reflected glare is caused by light reflected from an object or objects that an observer is viewing. Glare appears as mirror image or white spots on the computer screen as a result of bright, steady light or reflection which creates distraction from work. Glare causes the operator's iris to contract and the eyes to squint and causes eye strain. So glare is a problem, but you could just sit at the computer screen and look at it and see if there's glare. It's pretty easy to figure out. So in order to reduce or eliminate glare, position the monitor at right angles for the windows. Glare usually comes from windows. You can see right now that there's a window behind me here in my office at home. And does it glare on me now? I don't never noticed it. I don't see it on the screen now. So it's not a big deal to me, and I also have the blinds closed, so I'm not getting a real bright light through it. But if I had them open, it probably would be a glare. So you got to position the monitor at right angles for the windows. Focus task lights on the document directly, not on the monitor or on the operator's eyes. Install drapes, blinds, or other window coverings. Use a glare hood on top of the monitor, which prevents the light from above hitting the screen. Use a flare guard or glare screen. There are ways to get around this if the glare just can't possibly be eliminated. Tips for an ergonomic workstation: use a chair with the dynamic chair back and seat back. In other words, it's adjustable. Top of monitor at eye level. No glare on the screen. Relocate monitor. Use shades or control glare. Feet on the floor or a stable footrest. And the stable footrest doesn't have to be fancy. It can be a 2x4 or probably 2x6, something like that, or a carton or a box or something like that. Doesn't be fancy. Use a document holder, preferably in line with the monitor. That's really good advice. Wrists flat and straight in relation to forearms to use input device. Arms and elbows related close to the body. Don't have mine flying out in space. Keyboard set equal to seated elbow height with the feet flat on the floor. Center your monitor and keyboard in front of the operator. Use a stable work surface and stable keyboard tray, no bounce. Now, sometimes the keyboard trays that pull out, they'll be bouncing around as you hit them. That's not good. Take frequent short breaks, micro breaks. Now, this is a really good idea, not just for offices, but any repetitive motion thing. Take frequent short micro breaks. Give those micro traumas a chance to come back, to recover. Remember, inadequate recovery is a risk factor. So there kind of gives you a picture of it. Top of screen here in the middle is just below eye level. Elbows are close to the body. Work surface is adjusted to elbow level. Chair is adjusted to keep body upright, supported in upright position. Backrest is adjusted to fit the lumbar region of your spine. Chair legs allow adequate leg clearance. Maintain keyboard work surface at elbow level. Feet rest firmly on the ground or floor, or supported by footrest. Optional articulating keyboard tray, and fingers are relaxed with the wrists in neutral position. How many have a laptop or desktop? Yeah, probably a lot of. It seems like more and more home use computers are becoming laptops. I know I have 2 of them sitting on my desk right here, but most of the time at work it's a desktop. Although at OK Foods, they had it pretty slick. I had a laptop and a docking station. So my laptop became the desktop, and that worked out really fine. I like that. With the monitor attached to the keyboard, laptops are excluded from current ergonomic design requirements because you really can't do much about it. Frequently in business, laptop users also have docking stations with separate keyboards, making the laptop basically a monitor and when setting it at one's desk, of course, monitor and hard drive too. So laptops use a comfortable chair that one can sit back in. Position laptop in the lap for the most neutral wrist position that one can achieve. Angle the laptop screen so that one can see it with the least amount of neck deviation. If the laptop is used as a full-time device, position it on your work surface so you can see the screen without bending your neck. And you might have to elevate the laptop. Use a separate keyboard and mouse connected directly to the laptop or docking station. Use the keyboard on a negative tilt keyboard tray to ensure the wrist is in a neutral position, and use the mouse on an adjustable position mouse platform. There you go. The last guy that worked for me, Chris, was a tall fella, a nice guy, good guy, and he was being younger than me. Okay, everybody's younger than me, I get that, but he used his laptop. If we had to go look up something for OSHA, I'd go to my book and he'd go to his laptop. And he would just flop down in the chair, the most god-awful, uncomfortable looking thing, and flip his keyboard, his laptop up and in his lap. But, for him, it was comfortable, and he was never in it for, for very long, just a short period of time. And one thing about being in the safety department, we got out, we were up and down a lot. We didn't sit in all day, hardly ever. There were days, some days it did, but you didn't hardly ever spend the whole day in the office. And I like that about it. I like that a lot. I like going out to the plants. So again, office ergonomic assessment, general information. If you're going to do an assessment, make sure their supervisor is aware of the evaluation before entering the work area. Introduction, tell them who you are, why you're there. Again, ask if they know what ergonomics is and why an evaluation is being conducted. Ask for their input. Ask if they're having any problems or concerns, or if they experience any pain or discomfort. Now, don't diagnose them. You're not supposed to be doing that. Just ask them out, let them talk. You can try to solve the problem, but don't diagnose their injuries or illnesses. Never assert that this workstation caused a person's medical condition. It's very difficult to establish a cause and effect relationship, and there are many factors involved. But you know what? If it did, they're probably going to have a pretty good idea. If a person gives personal medical information to you anytime, don't disclose it and don't even record it. Just tell them it if you can nicely that you'd rather not hear their medical, but they're going to sometimes. And if that's fine, just, again, don't even record it. Always be courteous, establish good rapport, and listen well, and take good notes, except, of course, from the medical information. So workstation, this is the steps here in office ergonomic assessment. And we're going to go over the assessment form in a whole nother video. What type of workstation does the employee have? Is it fixed height or adjustable height? Corner desk, L-shaped desk, straight desk? Where the keyboard, mouse, and monitor are located? Where's the lighting source? Where are the most commonly used items? Telephone, reference book, notepads, etc. Adjust the chair. Adjust the seat height so the user's feet can rest comfortably on the floor. Thighs parallel to the floor, hips at the same height or slightly higher than the knees. If the seat pan is adjustable, adjust it to allow 2 to 3 fingers to fit between the edge of the chair and the backs of the knees. If the seat pan tilts, it should be horizontal or gently tilted forward. The seat backrest should be adjusted so that the lumbar area of the back is supported. In other words, retains its natural curve of the lumbar part of your back, which is the belt right above your belt. If the armrests are adjustable, they should support the arms at, again, 90 to 110 degree angle without hunching the shoulders or bending the back. If they get in the way, just remove them or put them all the way down. I'm laughing because the chair I'm sitting on right now in my office only has one armrest because sometimes, well, I haven't done it for a long time because of my surgery on my hand, but I play the guitar with the armrest on the right side. It got hard, so I don't have a right armrest on it to allow room for a guitar. If I think I know how to play a little bit, but I really don't. The chair should have a stable 5-caster base with appropriate casters for the floor. The chair should be large enough to allow the person to make micro postural changes throughout the day. And this is the 3 different clips. It's the lunar eclipse at the top. That's when the Earth gets between the sun and the moon. The solar eclipse, that's when the moon gets between the Earth and the sun. And if the sun gets between the Earth and the moon, that's called an apocalypse. So we don't want any of those. We don't want the bottom one to happen. Yeah, the top two, okay. Okay, the work surface. Is there an adequate clearance beneath the workstation for the user to get close enough to the task and not contact obstructions? You don't see this too often, but you could, especially if it's out in a plant somewhere or in a shipping department. It's not just an office environment. You might not be an office environment, but you still might have a computer workstation. Are the monitor and keyboard in alignment directly in front of the user? If the workstation is adjustable, alter chair height adjustments with the user's feet are resting comfortably on the floor, of course. Measure the person's seated elbow height when the person is seated with the hand resting in the lap and elbow at side. Measure from the floor to the bony point of the elbow, the floor. That's your seated elbow height. Next, measure keyboard height from floor to home row, and that should be about the same as your seated elbow height. Adjust monitor so that the monitor height equals seated eye height or slightly below. Again, seated eye height is measured from the floor to the corner of the user's eye. Other equipment, telephone headsets are recommended for employees who are on the phone for extended periods. And we got one of those for the young lady who used to work in the office at HR, and that was really slick because she could also walk around and see if somebody was around with that and move around the office with her headset on, still take care of business. Document holders are useful for people to type from documents. Depending on the employee's task, certain items may decrease repetition or improve posture, like an ergonomic staple remover. Well, I think you have to use get rid of a lot of staples if you need one, but not a bad idea. Automatic stapler, hole punch, box cutter, ergonomic pens. If you're writing a lot, a pen that fits nice in your hand is a good idea. So administrative or behavioral improvement, some vision related work habits. This is a good idea. 20-20 rule. Refocus your eyes for 20 seconds every 20 minutes. And that's a good idea. Blink, refocus your eyes regularly. Keep the monitor screen clean. Most dry, itchy eyes are a result of dust on the computer monitor. Regular vision care can help reduce eye strain. But that 20-20 rule, so while you're working on a computer screen, every 20 minutes or so, refocus your eyes on something else in the room for about 20 seconds. It doesn't take long. That's one of those little micro breaks. It's very important to get the blood circulated and muscles moving throughout the day. Make sure when you're done with the assessment, make sure the employee knows the following: where to go for additional information, how to get in touch with you with questions, where to report pain and discomfort associated with his or her job. That may be a company nurse, could be a clinic, could be their supervisor. More than likely, it should be their supervisor first. What to expect from the evaluation report. Thank the employer for their time and cooperation. So when you do an office ergonomic assessment, those kind of things you want to go through. I didn't always introduce myself when I went into a plant at OK Foods because they know me. So, but if I was going to go in there for something special, then I might, like this. So that's it for this one. Everybody, be safe, and we will see you soon.